Jim Jones was televised in addition to being duped. He was sitting in court like a king one minute, and then Cameron pressed a USB to play a video of Chrissy in a hotel in a sweatshirt and heels. Let Jim stay stupid. He was seen on camera laughing and saying things he doesn't comprehend in the room with someone else. Have you ever seen the heart of a man go from his body? Jim remained silent without blinking or talking. Cameron just stared at the TV as like it were the funeral of his sanity when Mama Jones froze him, grinning as though he had waited 10 years. We now ask, how many more clips does Cam have? Chrissy knew the camera was rolling, and this wasn't an unintentional release. It was a smash and an emotional performance. How do you go on when everyone is watching your life fall apart in 4K? Is it love or a long-term scam? After this, Jim Jones won't be coming back, so hold on tight. Jim Jones was pictured crumpled in a courtroom chair, his hands shaking and his spirit half out of his body. It all started with a USB. This time-stamped, clear film was neither grainy or maybe that's her moment, was captured at 9:13 p.m. outside the Moran Hotel in Soho. As though someone had foreseen that it would eventually be displayed in court, Chrissy pulled a hoodie over her head. The man who opened the door wasn't Jim, and she was looking side to side as though the city was watching her breathing. Inside that suite, people started talking about Reggie's name. According to Chrissy, the individual involved in a muffled cell, conversation months earlier was just a friend. But this high-definition footage revealed total treachery. And the moment Cameron Azu gave the court clerk that USB, you could feel the energy shift. Jim straightened up straighter as if he already knew in his heart that the room was getting cold. But seeing and knowing are not the same thing. A lot of pain, because as soon as Chrissy walked into the hotel room, she went back to the hallway and whispered into her phone, "Jim still thinks I'm at my relatives." That's how easy he is. Jim sat as if his skeleton had melted, breathing slowly and silently, his eyes glassy. And then he collapsed with one hand on his chest and one arm. The courtroom erupted in tension, but not loudly, and Cam leaned back in his chair like a man who had been waiting 10 years for karma to cash the check. That was just the first 37 seconds of the clip. The rest was full of silence, lies, and the ride or die narrative that was made for reality TV. Chrissy sat motionless as if she were witnessing a scene she had seen 100 times before, but Cam didn't. Hanging from the chair, the courtroom exploded as Biafs hurried in, calling for EMTs undone. As the movie cuts to the interior of the room, 2 glasses of wine and a playlist are playing on the speaker. With a quiet giggle, Chrissy continues, "This is, with you, I breathe and don't feel suffocated in someone else's life." That sentence resonated with me because, according to insiders, Jim is now hearing Chrissy say that she felt dead inside of him. Last year, he appeared on 3 different podcasts, calling her his oxygen on day 1, and the reason I survived. It's still unclear how Cameron got the tape, but Chrissy knew about the camera. The room belonged to a friend of Reggie's who frequently took precautionary videos and was shocked that he would eventually get his hands on it. Some say Cam had someone on the inside, while others believe Reggie lost it after Chrissy left him last month. Regardless, Cameron's belief that there was evidence, and not just any evidence, but evidence that was undeniably scandalous and emotionally devastating, was the one thing that no one could ever have. Court documents show that Cam filed the USB as part of a defamation complaint, claiming that Jim tried to discredit him at a 2022 VH1 production meeting. However, legal disputes aside, this was about retaliation, not the court, and Cam didn't merely serve it cold. Because yes, Mama Jones was in court, he served it in front of Jim's mother, who jumped up so fast when Jim hit the ground that security thought she was going to attack Chrissy and shout, "You lied. To my son, you used him," she yelled before being escorted off, and TMZ caught her pacing the sidewalk and yelling into her phone. "This is why I never trusted that woman I told Jim day 1, she added. The judge had to stop the trial for a whole hour indoors while EMTs checked Jim's vitals and confirmed he hadn't had a heart attack. She would destroy him. Seconds after Cameron released the Chrissy hotel tape, the internet erupted in music, just a trauma-induced collapse. And within 20 minutes of its release, every meme depicting Jim Jones's breakdown became viral. "Bro got folded like the sheets Chrissy left in," said one of them, which showed Jim's face on a mattress. The hotel. Another showed Cameron holding the USB and the last Infinity Stone with a Thanos-like smile. But this wasn't just a Twitter joke session, because after the full 4-minute film started playing, the DA stopped the trial again and pulled the judge aside. This occurred because the video wasn't only evidence of adultery, which apparently revealed possible obstructive behavior. As you can see, Chrissy mentions in the hotel tape that the court was already investigating her role in a closed charity fraud case. Reggie helped me clean that mess up, and I told them it was a donation. What started out as a reality TV show could now be subject to further costs. When the court ordered a break, Cam got up, turned to Jim, and said, "I told you. She wasn't loyal, I simply gave you what you needed to heal." This left Cam unfinished, and a potential federal lawsuit has arisen from heartbreak. Jim remained motionless and stared straight ahead as if the entire world had gone silent, and Chrissy, a courtroom lay-prier sitting 3 seats behind her, claims that she leaned over to her lawyer and whispered something saying, "Tell the judge I was intoxicated." The clip is not relevant. A voicemail that was leaked from Chrissy to Mona Scott, and 2 further tapes will be presented, according to Cam's legal team, who will be present when the court reconvenes next week. Out of context, girl, it was 4K multi-angle with audio, but we're just getting started. The courtroom was still busy when the break ended, but nobody was ready for what was going to happen, because just as everyone was catching up, the entire VH1 franchise will be on fire. If even half of the rumors about that call are true, Jim Jones won't be the only one who loses everything. We have more video and an audio recording. With their breath from the hotel tape, Cameron's lawyer stood up and uttered 7 words that stopped the judge cold. Suspicion spread like a tsunami through the crowd, and you could hear the muttering. Chrissy went pale, Jim didn't even glance up, and Mama Jones had to be restrained before she could go back to the courtroom. Following the proceedings, Cam's attorney became more composed, and the judge proceeded to request an explanation. This is a message that missed 3 weeks before the video was shot. Lampkin left a message on Mona Scott Young's phone. The clerk played the message, and 10 seconds later, Jaws played Chrissy's voicemail, revealing that this was not just an affair, scandal, but also a conspiracy that may kill the franchise. "Your voice is crystal clear, Mona. I told you that Cam won't be able to find out either if Jim finds out that the entire season is wrecked. He'll make use of it. Reggie said the room film was erased, therefore I need you to handle it." The tree judge stopped the video and said, "Handle the footage, tell Mona to bury it, and call it season ruining," which caused Chrissy's lawyer to get up in a panic. Cam was locked in because the voicemail not only showed that Chrissy had cheated, but also that she knew she would be caught and tried to remove it with help from the top, which suggested a cover-up, manipulation, and possibly meddling in an ongoing case. He was protesting, but it was too late. The court had heard enough, and Cam was no longer even smiling. The second recording started, and this time it wasn't from the hotel. It was about the woman he bought rings for, cried over on red carpets, and fought producers to defend. Even the baves now seemed shaken, and Jim finally lifted his head, his eyes blank, and stared directly at Chrissy as if he had forgotten who she was. Chrissy and Yandy were seen talking behind the scenes in a Love and Hip Hop New York trailer that had been leaked in secret months earlier by an unnamed crew member. On what was supposed to be a casual day, Chrissy said, "I'm not dumb. I know Jim's loyal, but loyalty don't fix bored Reggie makes me feel." But their conversation was everything from casual, and Mona knows that if this gets out, I'm out. Yandy's answer, "You're playing with fire, girl. You get caught even though you know Cam hates him. This is not only a dispute, it is war." That recording resonated because what else had producers fabricated by now, if they knew this months earlier and kept filming the engagement special while promoting the forever love angle? The public was now focusing on strategy rather than infidelity, such as how the entire Chrissy and Jim romance was a staged brand rather than a real bond. What's worse is that it exposed Mona. In Lubit towns, blogs were ablaze, supporters were switching sides in real time, and Chrissy's name was trending on social media alongside liability setup Queen Judas and Mama Jones. "That woman destroyed my son's life," she sobbed. She hurried past security and into the hallway outside the court, where TMZ cameras were waiting, saying, "She's a snake, and I want VH1 to burn with her." Security tried to stop her, but the damage was done. The footage went viral in minutes, one tick. one tick. Talk even stitched the hotel clip with Mama Jones's rant and captioned it, "When your mother had been right all along." But the mood darkened back in court when Cam's lawyer stood up again after the audio of the second clip concluded, showing the judge a paper trail, a screenshot, and a written email that read, "This is an email from Chrissy's account asking for the removal of footage from a private server, connected to Mona Scott's media cloud. Read the email," the judge replied, and the room went silent again. Chrissy's hands started to in it, she allegedly wrote, "I need that room wiped by Monday. If it gets out, Jim won't recover, neither will the show. Tell Reggie to keep his mouth shut." Now, this was more than just cheating. It was manipulation. It was a poorly executed media attack job. Chrissy looked down, her lips quivering, but she remained silent as Jim stood up, trembling, and asked her one question. Was this all true? The answer was stillness. And Cameron didn't flinch because he had already won, and that silence was louder than any confession, because maybe if she had answered yes, something would have remained. This was not just revenge, it was surgical destruction. Hooray Judge broke up the proceedings again, but this time for a different reason. But the network was now involved because VH1's legal team, represented by a man in a gray outfit, abruptly requested to appear in court. Sweating through his collar, he stated, "We believe some of this footage was unlawfully obtained and its release may violate confidentiality clauses within existing laws." The judge was unconcerned with maintaining TV contracts, despite the fact that Cam had blown apart their golden pair, exposing producer trickery and that they were in a panic. "Did you attempt to interfere with this court's investigation by misleading or stifling the media?" he asked Chrissy directly. Chrissy's lawyer objected to her stutter. The judge went on, but it's too late now because the court had another surprise. A text message that Reggie sent to a friend that read, "She played me too," was released from a burner phone that Cam's team subpoenaed. Her voice broke at that point. "I didn't want it to get this far. I was just afraid of losing Jim, of being discovered, of seeing the lie come to light. I should have removed the other clips, but she begged me not to, so there were more in the end. Leave him now that I'm the antagonist," and Cam got cut off. Bearing. Chrissy and Mona by his side and no security, the world watched as a lone man bearing the weight of a betrayal and an unfulfilled love departed the courthouse looking like a ghost. A reporter asked Cam one final question live outside. "Do you believe Jim deserved this?" Cam stared into the lens and replied, "No. But occasionally the truth doesn't care who it breaks," he said. And he departed after adding that only one man had come out of the courtroom unscathed in this game of love, loyalty, and cameras. And the saddest thing was that it wasn't even until the next morning that the footage had been aired on all of America's screens. The clips were stitched, adjusted, slowed down, and mixed with somber music. Much faster than Chrissy could seize her publicist Jim Jones's face, the frozen look of betrayal had come to symbolize not only heartbreak, but humiliation. And even if fans were divided online, it was clear that no one was still buying into the misunderstanding theory. This was a full-scale effort, not simply a poor rumor. By bringing up old interviews, tweets, and moments from prior seasons, people were re-watching the romance with new eyes and spotting the warning signals in high definition. One clip even made a reappearance. "You don't love my son, you love the camera," Mama Jones told Chrissy directly before the court was over. Right now, t-shirts have that comment on them. VH1's internal communications were unexpectedly subpoenaed when Cameron's legal team filed an emergency move, even though the emotional devastation was overshadowed by the legal mess. You can guess who approved the video changes for the Chrissy and Jim spinoff, since Reggie, the person Chrissy was secretly seeing, worked in post-production. Yes, Reggie, it prompted a full inquiry into potential fraud. It's civil if producers rewrote the story to conceal real turmoil and reworked the picture to keep the brand from being only questionable. When Mona Scott Young stopped writing the script in the middle of the story, you know something is wrong. But this is where it went too far. Production briefly broke down, and Mona unfollowed Chrissy if there was fraud involving contracts, ad money, or misleading representations of cast members. After years of being Chrissy's man, her partner, and her protector, Jim Jones's lawyer, filed a plea to sue her for emotional distress. Let that sink in. Not only that, but the documents also contained lost brand deals, postponed appearances, and, most damning of all, unreleased footage that Jim had agreed to film for a Netflix documentary series, but that would never air because of the scandal's estimated loss is $2.3 million. And that doesn't account for what transpired once Chrissy's own ex, Marcus, showed up out of the blue. Someone from her background said that Chrissy always had a backup plan, and that Jim was never the endgame, according to an exclusive with a gossip website. Jim was the exposure, and he even showed voicemails and texts, including one whereafter allegedly stating, "Jim's career is cute, but I'm trying to build mine." Chrissy the architect became viral. Internet combustion bloggers went crazy. As the court considered motions and sealed evidence, Cameron released the teaser for his own documentary One, and Cam was just warming up because Chrissy's voice can be heard in a 30-second black screen. Teaser video posted on Instagram with the caption, "You saw the courtroom, now see the full truth coming soon," whispering, "Don't let Cam know that Jim is going to leave me if this gets out." Then, boom, cut to Cameron's face saying, "I found out." In just 4 hours, that video received over 5 million views. Jim said nothing, but his mother did. Mama Jones, holding back her emotions and rage, paced her living room that night and said, "You break me, Chrissy. You break my son. You were family, and I called you daughter." Chrissy sat quietly, said nothing, and apologized. It wasn't simply darkness, it was war. Now see what you did. You let the devil in and he had a pink coat. Sometimes the only response individuals deserve is quiet, as silence only works when the world isn't busy. One Instagram story featuring white letters on a black background. When the court reconvened on day 4, the judge was no longer serving as a mediator and was incensed that fresh evidence had surfaced, this time from someone, according to a sworn affidavit made by Olivia Longot, a longtime silent watcher and former cast member. She saw Chrissy and Reggie holding hands and fighting over being quiet in a hotel lobby back in 2022. She said Chrissy told her, "I'm only doing what Mona won't. Jim's too naive to see that I wasn't made for eternity. That wasn't just betrayal. It was intentional deception." And this is where things got crazy. VH1 tried to stop the tape from showing anymore. They sent a ceasefire, and despite bloggers' attempts to halt YouTube breaks and even temporary injunctions to stop the documentary, Cameron teased, Cam moved on because the internet never forgets and he wasn't scared. Live, smiling, sipping, and declaring, "Give them a chance. The truth has already come out. This is now my tale, not theirs." Jim, on the other hand, stopped going to court because he was at his breaking point, not because he didn't care. His group released a short at this time, and Mr. Jones desires solitude in order to focus on his mental health. The victim and the offender abruptly reversed roles after Chrissy moved from being engaged to one thing is clear. This controversy destroyed a brand, exposed a franchise, and exposed the true effects of love becoming a commodity and loyalty becoming leverage. The series has been canceled, legal disputes are still pending, and fans are calling for accountability. Hip-hop and the greatest love were never real. But this pain, the consequences, and the silence are more real than anything ever depicted. On TV, a fan remarked on Twitter, "They're right, you know? Because when the smoke clears and the editing stops, only the real damage, the kind that doesn't fade in the next episode or cut to commercial, remains. Type that plays continuously anytime someone posts a video of a Chrissy hotel to YouTube, and we now question whether it was worth it. No matter how hard they try to hide it or alter it, Chrissy's response is already captured in the tape, and Jim's career was ruined by the treachery as a result of the hotel secret that the camera lies about. No one turned away, and the entire world saw it. Now that the mask is off, the cameras are off, and the truth is out. What will happen next? Is Cameron this? And does Jim? Does Chrissy vanish into silence, trusting that time will accomplish what apologies cannot? Jones finally starts to mend on his own terms after leaving behind all the fame, grief, and betrayal. Honestly, what else could be hidden in those files if this was only one tape? Does he have more in the vault, but this wasn't a one-time vengeance drop? Just another example of hip-hop and love. But this was a total breakdown, with a reality TV empire crumbling under the weight of receipts and secrets, as well as a USB stick, that do more damage than 1,000 fists never was able to. So you have to do this. Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Who is at fault, in your opinion? And most importantly, who will follow? Because the lesson we've learned from the saga is that no one is safe when the truth starts to come to light. Keep in mind to click the like button if this had you glued to it. Kindly subscribe so that you don't miss the next startling discovery. Activate and trust me, it will arrive. Alerts, because of the real drama, never happens on TV anymore. Instead, it happens here. The truth is not heard, removed. This is just the beginning. Furthermore, if you continue to view, you're already mentioned in the story,